What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Off the Bench with Scotty and Corey. I'm your host, Scotty, and that is your other host. I'm your host, Corey. That is your other host, Scotty. How's it going, partner?
Oh, partner, it's a good day to have a good day. I'll be Corey for the day. That's fine. That's fine. I trust you. I trust you. But partner, how are you doing today? This
I'm
lovely
doing
Sunday.
I'm doing well, man. It's a great day to be a football fan, if you ask me. But that's every day. Um, let's jump right in. We started talking there a little bit yesterday on some rumors, some some teasers we seen. What you want to tell me what that was?
So now you guys know that the Tennessee Titans pulled the trigger real fast. They did all this free agency stuff, spent a few $100 million in free agency dollars, and then immediately turned around and dropped some uniforms. Nah, my guys over in DC, they like a little theatrics. And I'm here for these theatrics because it leaves you wanting more. And it leaves you on the edge of your seat. So April 15th, we get new Washington Commanders uniforms. And judging by the teaser video, you guys, if you haven't seen it, go look at it. It is so good. It will actually be reposted on our official Twitter and Instagram and Facebook sites today. Go check that out. It looks like there's going to be some homage paid to teams that were around before the name change. So and just based solely off of what we have already gathered to this point with the memos and team ledgers and things like that, there is a possibility, and the heavy rumor is that the spear is making a comeback in some form or fashion in tandem with the W. So, April 15th is a huge day for Commanders fans, especially whenever it comes to the lineage of the team. I think there will be some homage paid to the Super Bowl era.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. I love the new uniforms. They did well last year with their uniform reveal, with the classic white uniforms. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, Next up, we have really, it's not like you said earlier. It's not really a rumor. It's just kind of read between the lines. Dan Quinn, if he doesn't perform, he could be released this year. So if you're a Washington fan and they after all these signings and all this free agency stuff and where we are in the draft, if Dan Quinn doesn't put together a winning season, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Quinn is no longer in Washington. Now, I'm a big fan of DQ. The 2024 season kind of helped out with that. I love the defensive mind. I know personally, I always say defense wins ball games, but you have to be able to put a winning offense out there as well. And last season, you just didn't see either one. So, especially for a guy who's known for his defense, if he can't pull it together this year, I mean, they went out and got younger, faster on defense, and if they can't have something, at least a winning season, then again, I would look for him to be let go. What do you think, partner?
So, I think that this is a very sneaky um, hot seat season for a couple of coaches, especially Dan Quinn. I don't think that the front office is going to allow a second horrendous season like last year. Now, granted, a lot of that was a bunch of undue and self-inflicted stuff, as well as injuries. The injury bug. It's hard to talk on a Sunday morning, partner, isn't it?
It
The
is.
injury bug. It ran rampant in 2025 after a big time avoidance of the entire building in 2024. And just about every position group was affected last year in Washington: the running back room, the wide receiver room, offensive line, defensive line. There were defensive backs injured. Like it was crazy. Now, I think given the moves that they have made this offseason to this point, and they are going to have a good draft. This draft class is so talented. Um, Even if you don't end up with Caleb Downs, you can still end up with someone like Lorenzo Styles Jr. late in the draft, who is a sneaky good safety prospect out of Ohio State. There's so much talent in this draft that it will be hard to miss on at least depth pieces.
Absolutely. And partner, I can tell you right now, I hate early mornings. I have to get up at 7 o'clock to go to work regularly, and I know you have to get up super early for work. And what's better when you have to get up early than an energy drink? You know, you wake up, that first opening that you get, there's no better sound. And for
Oh,
me, that is Aspire. Now, Aspire is a great energy drink. They have tons of flavors. I'm currently drinking one right now. If you're watching, you can see this. Aspire Energy. It is healthy, 80 milligrams of natural caffeine. That is half of the competitors out there uh, with healthy derivatives. The energy comes from green tea, which means no crash, no jitters, um, and it's packed with vitamins B and C. So you know you get in this healthy mix in there, and it's keto friendly. So if whatever dietary restrictions you may have, whether they be health related or just because you want to, there's zero sugars and so 0 calories, and it's also 0 carbs. So that means that those of you who have diabetes, it is okay for you as well. Um, if you guys want to go give this a shot, if you guys like what you're hearing from us, go on over to aspiredrinks.com/discount/OTB25 to get yours.
oh man, that first sip of Aspire hits your soul in the morning. It is amazing. But you know what else hits your soul in the morning?
What's that?
A breakdown of the NFC West, partner. Oh,
Yes, it does.
the activity that happened out on the left coast over the first 2.5, 3 weeks of the new league year. Woo! Brother,
Good
brother,
morning to
brother,
you.
brother. Oh man, makes you feel alive. You want to start out there with the Cardinals, man? What do you think?
Yeah, dude. So the Cardinals, they went out and got a lot of people. As far as the NFC West is concerned, I think they have probably the most signed in the NFC West. They went out and got quarterback Gardner Minshew. He signed a 1-year, $5.75 million deal that has a maximum value of $8 million. This is good. I think he will be a good backup to whoever they do decide to pull on. Um, I don't think they're going to go for him as a full time. Uh, I feel like they're definitely going to try to go for someone in the draft at some point, or even go for a trade there. They also signed running back Tyler Algier for a 2-year, $12.25 million. I like this signing. Get someone in the backfield who fights for yards, who runs the ball well, runs angry. Um, Signed wide receiver Kendrick Bourne to a 2-year, $10 million deal with a maximum value of $12 million. A couple more wide receivers for him. They signed a 1-year contract with Devin Duvernay, and they re-signed Semi Fehoku. Sorry if I messed that up. Went out and got another wideout in Tegan Quintoriano. Man, he signed a 1-year contract. Um, then they said, well, we need some help on our offensive line. Signed a 1-year deal with Ali Udo. I'm messing these up. And as I'm looking down the list, that's not going to be the last one. Uh, Also signed Matt Pryor to a 1 year deal, and Isaac Sumalo. He signed a 3 year, $31.5 million deal, and that is their first real big signing. And I think it's their only like throw the money at this guy kind of signing here. Um, Went out and got guard Elijah Wilkinson for a 2 year contract. And then they said, let's work on some defense. Andrew Billings, L.J. Collier, they got re-signed. Signed Roy Lopez for $11.5 million. That's their next big one. $7 million guaranteed. And then Jonah Williams to a 1 year deal. Signed safety Andrew Wingard to a 1 year, $3 million deal. Long snapper Casey Kreiter to a 1 year deal. And then punter Blake Gillikin. He re-signed for 2.65 million. And hey, look, for a guy who you don't want to see on the field, I'd make that money. I'd do it for 1 year. Shoot, I punt the ball. Um, and then Chad Ryland, he re-signed for a 1 year deal. Partner, they went out there. They said we have some issues in our offense. Let's try to fix it. We have some issues in our defense. Let's try to fix that. And I like how they didn't really throw money around like it was going out of style. This leaves them to have some room next year whenever they have some other guys come out. It lets them throw the bag at maybe top name people next year who don't get signed. I like this.
Yeah, I like the way that the Cardinals went about their free agency this year. I think they're going to, at least from what I'm gathering, it seems like the consensus is Jacoby Brissett is going to be the incumbent starter, and there will be a competition in camp. Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett, possibly a rookie prospect. Who knows? Ty Simpson is shooting up draft boards. There's a good chance of him being being taken in the first or second round. We'll have to play it by ear, but that is a move that I do like. Gardner Minshew came in at the tail end of last season, played really well for Patrick Mahomes um, after his ACL injury, I believe is what he suffered. I like three really big signings on this offense. I like Tyler Algier. That is a change of pace from what they've had, even with James Conner. That is that to me. That's huge. That's probably RB1 right there.
Absolutely.
I like Kendrick Bourne. He performs very well wherever you put him on the field, um, and has great hands. I think that you put him with Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's a formidable wide receiver room. Now, the sneaky signing for me is Devin Duvernay, and he provides a prowess not only on offense, but as a special teams return specialist. Probably the best returner in the past 5 years. Super sneaky good signing. I like this signing. I also like them getting Jonah Williams, Isaac Samalo. Beautiful signing. So they're doing all the right things. I think if they have a really good draft, they can compete inside the division. They don't win the division, I don't think,
Right.
based off of the moves that the other teams have made. Like the Rams, if I may, the
Absolutely.
Rams went out and they were like, "Well, we need some help on defense." So that's what they did. They went out and got help on defense. They did re-sign Ronnie Rivers. I like that move. Good depth piece. He'll probably end up on the practice squad, but you like having a guy like that around, especially with some experience. Re-signing Tyler Higbee. I feel like Matt Stafford brings the best out of Tyler Higbee, and he can block both at the line and downfield. Beautiful. David Quessenberry re-signing. That's also huge. A lot of people thought David Quessenberry was going to leave the Los Angeles Rams. Did not happen. Grant Stewart. This is also a sneaky good depth signing that I like a lot. Um, I like Grant. I like some of what he can do both downhill and if they're playing a nice zone coverage, he's a really good zone defender. Now, here's where they went crazy. And they were like, well, the Kansas City Chiefs are not allowed to have cornerbacks because we're going to trade for Trent McDuffie, where they sent a 2026 first round pick. They sent a fifth and sixth round pick from this upcoming draft as well, and a third rounder for next year in exchange for Trent McDuffie. And when he got there, when the wheels touched down, 4 years, $124 million extension for Trent out west. And then they were like, you know what? Give us both their starting corners. Went out and got Jalen Watson out of free agency, 3 years, $51 million deals.
Insane.
That is a really, really good defense. This is a name that I love to see making the most out of his opportunities, and that is former Washington seventh round safety Cameron Curl. I love Cam. I think three is awesome. 3 years, $36 million on his re-signing, and they kept long snapper Joe Cardona with within the division, signing him off of the 49ers. I want to say not a lot of huge, not a lot of huge moves here, except for on the defense where I think they really needed it. They have a ton of offensive weapons. Uh, the offensive line played really well. You bring back David Quessenberry, that obviously helps that. But addressing the issues that they addressed in the secondary, especially at cornerback, y'all, this Rams team almost made it without great cornerback play. They're going to be dangerous. They are going to be dangerous.
Absolutely.
But what do you have for us on the 49ers there, pal?
Man, the 49ers went out and they got half of nobody and half of everybody at the same time. Um, they signed running back Patrick Taylor. They re-signed him on a one-year deal. This is a great depth piece. They did just let go of uh, B Rob, so he found some love over with the Falcons. Then they went out and got the man, myth, and legend in Mike Evans to come over and play in San Fran. Left his lifelong team with the Bucks. Now he signed a 3-year deal. Um, then went out and got Christian Kirk to go along with him, who signed a free agent contract. Then touched up on their offensive line and Vanderin Lowe signed a 2-year deal worth up to $12 million, and Brent Toth, who signed a 1-year deal. And Robert Jones signed a 1-year deal. He was a guard. And here's a signing that I'm kind of iffy about. Defensive tackle Osa Odigizua. They acquired him in a trade with the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for a third round pick. Here's my thing, right? So Osa, he's 27 years old. He's been here for 5 years. Now here's the thing. I love this for simply one reason. He's out of our division. Washington does not have to worry about Osa right now. Not 2 games a year at least. Um, Also, I think his name is fun to say. But last year, he was making eh. He did all right last year. He didn't do anything spectacular. I think he ended the year with 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks. Um, and I don't know. I guess if you look at it from a standpoint, again, I'm just a fan. I don't know. They got him on a cheap round. I guess kind of cheap. Third round isn't huge in my opinion. First and second rounds are probably where you're gonna get your best players or busts depending on. But I don't know. This guy, he has a chance to prove himself here. He can come down to the 49ers and say, hey, I'm gonna play a lot better than I did last year. Um, I believe he played all 18 or 17 games last season. Yeah, I don't remember him having any injuries. Correct me if I'm wrong, partner. But they picked him up on a third round pick, and we're gonna see if Osa can pair up nicely with one of the Bosa brothers down there, Nick. Now they went out and got some guys on the linebacker front. Luke Gifford, he re-signed for $5.3 million a year, 2-year $5.3 million contract, and then Dre Greenlaw signed a 1-year $7.5 million. Nate Hobbs, cornerback, signed a 1-year $4.5 million deal. Long snapper John Weeks re-signed, and kicker Eddie Pinero re-signed on a 4-year $17 million contract. They locked him down for a while. That includes a $10 million guarantee, which tells me that the $7 million is in incentives. If you don't miss, you get paid more. And they went out and signed free agent Corliss Waitman as a punter, the kind of a guy that you don't want to see on the field, but if you do, you're trying to pin that team back deep, typically within the 10 yard line. What do you think, partner? Do you think these are some good guys? What do you think about Osa?
So, I love this. I love just about everything about most of these moves. I like what they did in the wings. Christian Kirk, I think, has a renaissance as most wide receivers do in Kyle Shanahan's system. I don't know what it is about that Shanahan bloodline. They can bring out the best in wide receivers, and most of the time, and you'll see this most of the time when Shanahan wide receivers leave that system, they don't perform as well. There are a few caveats, uh, but if you're a role player wide receiver like Christian Kirk, a lot of times you get maximized in offenses like this. Um, but to specifically address the defense, as you have asked, my friend, Osa Odigizua is going to address a need that they want to address, and that is freeing up blockers for Nick Bosa. That's the huge thing. And Osa Odigizua is more known as a pass defender. He is better at pass rush than he is stopping the run. Pro Football Focus has his pass rush grade at 71.5 and his run grade, I think, at 58.9. So they have another body to worry about on pass rush downs. Do not be surprised if they put him and Nick Bosa on the same side of the defensive line and make them choose. You're going to double team one or the other, but you can't do both. Not without giving Brock Purdy less options, or not without giving your quarterbacks less options. Thankfully, it's not Brock Purdy because he
Right.
will tear you alive. He can run past. He's great. Um, the signing that I like the most about this is simultaneously Dre Greenlaw coming back home after a season with the Broncos and Nate Hobbs stealing a cornerback away from the defending champ Seattle Seahawks, staying right there on the left coast. We love to see that. I think sneaky good. Um,
I picked up what you said there.
but oh, the left coast.
Yeah, the left coast. I never heard that one before.
Oh man. Oh, you're in for it. I'm gonna miss the one-liners. But I'm not hating on what has happened here with um, with the San Francisco 49ers. I think they need to do a little more in the draft. I don't particularly like offloading draft capital ever, but Odigizua I think is worth the second the day two pick
Right.
based on what his upside is. Um,
But partner, take
but
us down to the defending champs. What have they done?
the defending champs have had the best retention in all of free agency, if you ask me. They have re signed three of their wide receivers, two of which were going to be free agents, and Jake Bobo and Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed, I think, is a huge signing, provides an unreal route tree and speed combination that you want on an outside wide receiver. And if you look at his tape, he is so good at getting open versus single high safety man, or if they're playing a cover two, he's unbelievable at getting safeties to flip their hips the wrong way and being open even if he's double covered. I love it. And obviously the big one, Jackson Smith and Jigba getting his extension, 4 years, $168.6 million, $120 million guaranteed. He is with the Seahawks through 2031. Uh,
Damn.
yeah. Also shoring up Josh Jones. You love to see pieces like that stay with an offensive line. It helps with continuity. This is a sneaky signing that I think they did because in 2024, Noah Igbenogany balled out, played much better than what his name had carried to that point, and even played relatively well in his snaps in Washington in a very dysfunctional defense. Them re-signing Shamar Jean Charles, I like that as well. Re-signing Josh Jobe, their number one corner, if you ask me. Well, one A. Devin Witherspoon obviously holds that title, but if you can interchange Josh Jobe and Devin Witherspoon and get the same results, as evidenced by his $8 million a year annual value, which seemed like it was going to be on the lower end, but given what free agency has looked like to this point in the season, that's good money for a cornerback. And you like to see it. They also went out and got two safeties, Anthony Bell and Rodney Thomas, both of which I expect to see at least some split snaps, especially if they go three high safety. You will see those guys out on the field. And re signing the most underrated position on any football team, the long snapper, Chris Stoll. He stays with the team, 2 years deal. He was in restricted free agency. He was in restricted free agency, not unrestricted. So they did have the chance to tender him first. And who doesn't re-sign with the champs, right? Like that's crazy. You know the team's there and the coaching's there. Mike McDonald was, of course, very high on my list of head coaching candidates in 2024 before the Commanders landed on Dan Quinn. So I have a lot of respect and love for the way that Mike McDonald coaches a defense, and in a lot of the same regards as Dan Quinn, leads men and his guys believe every word that they say. I think that's why you see so many re-signings on this page, and the few signings that you do see are going to be impact players.
Absolutely, man. Now, I like this team. I think that as far as things go, I think that even with some of the guys that left, I still feel like that this team will still be a contender next year. So
Yes.
with that being said, and with that being the final team in the AFC West, what do you rank this off season for these teams, partner?
So if I'm going to rank them based off of sheer off-season activity, I have to go with in this order based off of we're weighing quality and quantity here. I like what the San Francisco 49ers have done first. I like what the Arizona Cardinals have done second. I like what the Los Angeles Rams have done third. And I like what the Seattle Seahawks have done fourth. And that is only because there was not a lot of outside guys brought in to address the outside guys or the inside guys that left. They did
Right.
a ton on the re signing front. But as far as addressing holes that had popped up throughout free agency, it's for me Niners, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks.
Absolutely. I actually have it for me Cardinals, Niners, Rams, Seahawks, and the reason that I have the Seahawks is actually the same as yours, as bottom. They just a lot of guys. I say a lot of guys left, and to me it just doesn't feel like you picked up the same caliber of guys when you could have just re-signed the guys that left, especially their running back. Uh, he left and went to Kansas City, and they didn't. They had the opportunity to re-sign him, they just didn't want to. But again, that for me is Cardinals, Niners, Rams, Seahawks. Just to throw a little bit of division in there, you know. But I
Up for
just feel
debate.
like I just feel like that the Cardinals did a little more in free agency than the Niners did. I feel like they grabbed, you know, I feel like they spent more on some guys that they really needed than the Niners really did. So as far as just free agency, if you take away last season, upcoming draft, and look at just free agency, I think that the Cardinals outdid the Niners personally. So, but that's for me. Now my too early to tell prediction for how this season is going to go is going to look a little bit similar how it looked last season. I have Seahawks coming out on top again, with the Rams following, the Niners coming in third, and the Cardinals coming in last. I think it's going to take a lot for the Cardinals to win this division. Uh, this division is a stout one for sure, and it's I don't know. I just feel like that the Cardinals are going to come in and still just get punched in the mouth, and they're not going to still. I mean, the last five or so years they haven't really done much, and I just feel like they still haven't done enough to make the move from fourth. And like I said, this is a stout division. I mean, the Niners, Seahawks, and Rams are they're great teams in their own respect, and I just don't see them overtaking the Niners for third. Definitely not making it to second. I don't think they have a good guy at quarterback to do that. Um, so yeah, that's my opinion on it. Where do you land these guys?
So, because we like the debate, and because of the moves that I think are going to wholly impact these teams, I think, pure speculation, but I believe in what the Rams are going to do. They are going to usurp the Seattle Seahawks and win the NFC West. It will be Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are still at least 2 years away. They have to address a lot of things on defense. They have to address that offensive line. They also have to address the most important position, and that is quarterback. Um, they have good pieces in place. They may be relatively competitive. I like their wide receiver room. I like what they are trending toward on that offensive line, but I don't have the most faith in probably the most loaded division in football. The big thing being no quarterback.
Absolutely, I do
But
agree with you. But moving on to something that I've been excited to talk about, um, and that is the free agency leftovers, for lack of a better word. I don't want them to sound like they're just guys that are not good. Um, I'm gonna name a few. I'm gonna name the top guys, a few of the top guys left. Um, Starting off, we got Juwan Jennings, wide receiver. Joey Bosa, uh, edge rusher. Kirk Cousins, DJ Reader, Stefon Diggs, Debo Samuel, Kevin Zettler, sorry, and Aaron Rodgers, to name a few. Now, partner, do you think that these guys will find a home soon, or do you think that maybe the season starts and they're still looking for a place to stay?
so in the on the NFL's official website, this is the remaining of the top 101 free agent prospects. I think 75% of these guys find a home the week before the NFL draft. We'll call it within 2 weeks. You'll see a second boom of free agency toward toward the draft. You'll see these guys start to fly off the shelf. Jawan Jennings being under 30 at wide receiver and being able to block. The best blocking wide receiver that was available this season. He goes to a team. Joey Bosa lands on a team. Don't be surprised if you see Kirk Cousins land in either a bridge starter or backup role. If the Cardinals don't land a quarterback, who knows? Maybe he ends up in Arizona. We don't know. The Diggs brothers. I think if Stefan's legal trouble kind of goes by the wayside and he gets out of his legal trouble, he lands on a team rather sooner rather than later. Aaron Rodgers is the wild card here. He has to decide. He's had a Hall of Fame career. In my opinion, in the debate with Drew Brees for the most accurate passer in NFL history, um, obviously the best deep ball thrower ever. I love Aaron Rodgers, but he is
Absolutely.
42. If he wants to hang it up, hang it up. Um, David Njoku, I feel like he will find a home before the NFL draft. And that's another big thing. And even guys like Taylor Decker and Jadavian Clowney, those guys may find depth roles somewhere, especially since Jadavian Clowney came off the couch last season and I think ended up with like 5.5 sacks just off the couch.
Right.
Bro was out here doing things. But Trayvon Diggs may be the sneaky signing, and as much as I don't like it, the place that makes the most sense for Trayvon Diggs is either Washington or potentially a place like the San Francisco 49ers.
Absolutely.
But
I think just off of what they have, that unfortunately, I think that Washington would be the best fit, but he's not going to stick around long unless he gets that I don't give much of a crap about football mentality out of his head. Um,
that's where I
DQ,
think that the front office in Washington will not touch him is there's a bunch of guys that love football in that building, and the guys that we've seen that did not put the I love football out there don't don't work inside the building anymore. That's the culture that's being built. If you listen to all of the new free agents coming in, if you listen to all of the guys who are leaders on that team, that's why they end up in the burgundy and gold is because it's a culture of loving football and playing for your brothers. And in the last 2 years, you have not seen that from Trayvon Diggs.
absolutely. Um, but yeah, man, these are some good guys, and I like you said, I expect them to be picked up. I personally expect most of them to be picked up within the within the year, well, within the time frame before the draft. And if not, I do think that at least 80% of them will be picked up before the start of the NFL season. I think some of these guys might go after the NFL draft just simply because teams are going to wait to see what they can get and what they end up with at the draft, and then kind of address some other things afterwards. And that might hurt a couple of teams just because if you wait too long, you might not get the guy you want. But something that I wanted to talk to you about is I've seen a lot of people wanting Joey Bosa to go to the 49ers and be paired alongside of his brother and Osa Odigizua. Now, I think that would be a great signing because him and his brother can feed off of each other, and you have both of the Bosa brothers on lining up on both sides, and then you can pair Osa on either side of that. You're going to have to choose to either block to double Osa or double Joey, and you can't. Again, it's going to fall into the same category. I would like to see him go there, or see him go to the Lions to be paired up with Aiden Hutchinson. And again, you're going to have to choose to either double up on Joey or double up on Aiden. So I think those are my two landing spots for Joey Bosa. Now, he did play the most games last year that he's played, which was 15, since 2021. He has not played a full season since 2021, and that is not looking good for him. I think that drops his free agency capital quite a bit. But I don't know. I think someone is definitely going to take a chance on him.
Yeah, for sure. Someone will, because that is a name who carries football weight, knows his position extremely well. Here, outside of his injury history for the past 5 seasons, we'll completely disregard that. Here, from last season, is what I believe is the damning evidence on the now 31-year-old Joey Bosa, and that is the fade. If you look at weeks 12 through 18 and into the playoffs, his production dipped week by week. I don't know if it was a fatigue. I don't know if he was not fully rehabbed. I don't know if it was lingering injury. I don't know what it is. Um, but if he can be healthy and produce like 2021 Joey Bosa, this is a sneaky great signing for any team that picks him up. The best fits for me, for him, I believe, are probably the Lions. The Lions make the most sense out of any team that has a need for edge rusher. Um, and if you're looking for a compliment, don't be surprised if the Browns make a run at him as well. I do not think that just because of his name that the 49ers look at him based on availability. And what is the best ability in football, partner? Availability.
Availability. Yep.
That's it. Yes, sir. So, if in fact he does somehow end up with the 49ers, it will be on some sort of low base salary, high incentive, prove it deal.
Right.
But I don't think that, especially in the position that they're in right now, I don't think that they're going to take a flyer on Joey Bosa. And that's not a personal decision, that's a business decision. I'm sure Nick
Right.
Bosa would love to play with his brother. Um, but I think that teams that are more willing to take a risk are probably the Lions or the Browns because that's a position of need for both of those teams.
Right.
You have one guy dominant, but when he's getting triple teamed, what do, right?
Absolutely. You grab another guy. And another thing that you we kind of touched on, I think personally that Kirk Cousins' best fit is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders, and here's why. I think he will be able to step into that mentor role with obvious selection of Mendoza coming in, and I think he would be a great guy to kind of help Mendoza come into the league, to step up a little bit. But here's the only my only problem with that is that I'm afraid that he's gonna want too much. I'm afraid that he might even be trying to step back into a starter role, and we have seen in the past that rookies coming into the league and starting sometimes doesn't work out the best. Patrick Mahomes is a fantastic quarterback, but he also sat behind Alex Smith for a couple of years. He did not come into the league starting, and I think that helped him tremendously. I think that helped him learn. Even Tom Brady, who came into the league, he sat behind Drew Bledsoe for I think it was almost a full season or a full season. Um,
Almost two full seasons.
yeah. So again, it's just I think that to make a great quarterback, you have a guy who's already in that position who is doing well, and then you eventually kind of bring the other rookie in a couple years down the road. That way he gets time to learn. He gets time to watch what it's like to be in the NFL. And mentors go farther than just on the field. It's their biggest role is actually off the field. Teach them how to watch film. Teach them how to game plan against the defense. Teach them how to look for the defenses, the way they're standing. Like, oh, okay, this guy's standing here. Motion one guy, fake motion a tight end, and see if it's going to be man. Teach them that, and I think Kirk Cousins would be great for that. But again, and unfortunately, I think the Raiders are going to go with Francisco Mendoza, and I think he's going to be a starter as soon as he gets there. Um, which is, I mean, that's okay, but again, it just depends on what they're trying to do. I don't think Kirk Cousins is a starter kind of caliber anymore. Um, but I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if you know if that is the case. I actually look for that to be the case personally, but we'll see.
So, allow me to dispute a couple of things because we like the debate, don't we, partner?
Absolutely,
So, here is my discussion for Kirk Cousins to be the backup, if in fact he does sign with the Las Vegas Raiders. You made the comparison, Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith, to the obvious choice of Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. Alex Smith was also still playing some of his best football the year that Patrick Mahomes sat behind him.
absolutely,
And Alex Smith, if you listen to the testimony of guys who played with and around Alex Smith, he was a better tutor of the quarterback position than you will ever hear anyone give Kirk Cousins credit for. Now, here's something that plays in Kirk's favor. He actually knew when he was drafted in the fourth round out of Michigan State that he was not ready. He needed Robert Griffin to be the starter, having been both part of that 2012 draft class. And he knew that he needed that time, but he was never able to convey that to other quarterbacks who sat behind him in his tenure anywhere. If you look at the production values of Kirk Cousins led teams in the years since he left Washington, where he was not asked to be a quarterback mentor, neither of those teams have had optimal quarterback play in that time. Alex Smith was an anomaly in that he could throw a deep ball, but he also had a quarterback IQ, a football IQ that was almost untouchable. And that I think is the big difference. But also this, Alex Smith, after his major injury, was not afraid to take hits in trying to come back from football or to football from injury.
right.
Kirk Cousins has the proverbial yips, if we can call it that. Um, hesitant to stand in the pocket. Um, very quick to unload before the play fully develops. Um, this is not a guy based off of what I've seen since he tore his both ACL and his Achilles coming back from both of those injuries. This is not a guy that I think is confident in the way that he plays quarterback after an injury. That is a damning feature. Also, of point, playing for Fernando Mendoza, playing in a style of offense like Kurt Signetti's pro style offense that obviously won Indiana the national championship this past season. Fernando Mendoza is the most pro-ready prospect outside of Caleb Downs in this entire NFL draft. To me, he has all of the qualities to come in, compete, and start day one. He has the type of poise that you could see out of guys like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels and Drake May, all day one starters. The second they set foot in the program, those were the guys. I see a lot of that in Fernando Mendoza. I don't think that he needs a mentor role. And if he really does, as far as learning the quarterback position, I don't think the guy to set him behind, if you're going to set him for a year, is Kirk Cousins. Do I like Kirk Cousins as a backup in that system? Absolutely. It's a very stand in the pocket, make a move if you need to break contain and get out of the pocket. Absolutely. He still has a lively gun. He still is very quarterback smart. He's still very football smart. But I don't think that his knowledge of today's NFL lends itself extremely well to a pro ready prospect like Fernando Mendoza.
Right. So, okay. So you said that, right? So here's my thing. What if, and Aaron Rodgers right now is a free agent currently. What if they go after a guy like Aaron Rodgers and then play a season with him? And I mean, Aaron Rodgers has great football IQ, and I mean, you said it yourself. He has the fucking, sorry, biggest arm in the NFL.
Well,
He
Marcus
can
might be
still,
close.
yeah, he can sling the ball better than anyone in the NFL as far as long, like extending the field. So what if, and hear me out, the Raiders go after him, they seat, and again, you said that Francisco Mendoza does not, uh, or Fernando Mendoza, sorry, does not need to be really sat behind somebody. But let's say he does, let's say they go that route. I think Aaron Rodgers would also be that caliber of guy, more than Kirk Cousins. But unfortunately, I think that Rodgers is going to end up going right back to Pittsburgh. I think that they're going to pick him back up and go another season with him. Is my kind of thought there.
Yeah. Now, listen, if Aaron Rodgers is willing to hear that pitch out and decides that Pittsburgh's not the best fit for him and does not want to see Mike McCarthy again as his head coach, even though they won a Super Bowl together back in 2010, defeating those Pittsburgh Steelers. Little league history for you guys. If in fact he would rather be out in Vegas to mentor a guy like Fernando Mendoza, and maybe they do take their shot at Rodgers. Maybe they do land him on a deal that makes it worth it for him. I like that so much more than Kirk Cousins because look at the prospects that have been sat behind Aaron Rodgers and what those guys have learned. Jordan Love's poise is undeniable. Yeah, he played so well in his season since becoming the starter for the Green Bay Packers. Like he knew he was ready because Aaron Rodgers is a classically smart football guy and knows how to convey to the position because his predecessor, Brett Favre, was also that to him. I think having those guys and having a mental fortitude to be that guy makes a world of difference. Now, there are some causes that don't really play into A Rod's favor. We can't hold the Jets quarterbacks against him. His 2 years with New York um, were not good on the quarterback room front. They were just guys who didn't play the same style of football as Aaron Rodgers, and you can see a lot of Aaron Rodgers that get out of the pocket, that sling it downfield, that stand in the pocket and deliver precision strikes. You see a lot of that with a guy like Nando Mendoza. You, I like that fit. I, however, am of the same mind as you that Aaron Rodgers does, in fact, make another appearance in Pittsburgh if he decides to play. I think that he stays in Pittsburgh. He runs it back with Mike McCarthy. They get a little nostalgic, go on a little run. They've made some really good moves, which we'll talk about those in the coming weeks. Um, I like who and what Aaron Rodgers represents as a veteran quarterback in the NFL. I especially over um, Kirk Cousins, just based off of historical performance, we'll call it. So yeah, I think you make a great point there. If it's Aaron Rodgers that you pursue, then I'm okay with Fernando Mendoza sitting a year. If it's not Aaron Rodgers that you pursue, I think that he is in sound enough hands, especially with, and here's the big thing, minority owner Tom Brady being out there with the Las Vegas Raiders. And we love A Rod. I love Aaron
Absolutely.
Rodgers. But who better than the single quarterback who has more championships than a franchise in the Super Bowl era? More championships than all 32 franchises
Yep.
does Tom Brady. So like if you're going to get a guy, Aaron Rodgers, yes, but if you don't get a guy to come in and start immediately, Fernando Mendoza will be all right.
Absolutely. And he also has Ashton Genty to back him up. So that's a
Yeah,
great piece to have in the backfield. So I mean, he's going to take a
like
lot of weight off of the shoulders of Fernando Mendoza if they in fact do not go veteran quarterback set Mendoza route. Um, Partner, we're going to talk about one more guy that I feel needs to be spoke about, and then we can spin on out of here. Juwan Jennings. Now, I have two places that I would like to see Juwan Jennings go. One of those places being Buffalo. I think that he would pair great down there. And the other place being LA Chargers. I think that he would pair great with Trey Harris, who did wonderfully in his rookie year. Um, and you know, I don't know. I think that Justin Herbert can maximize what Juwan Jennings is, and he is known to occasionally carry an offense. Um, he did that last year in a couple of games with the Niners. So I think that he would do wonderfully again in either one of those places, and it would give Josh Allen another weapon. A little mad at Josh Allen because it kind of had the easiest route to the Super Bowl and he blew it. But we're not gonna talk about that. I'm just gonna say this right now.
the defense.
I am pro Josh Allen. Like I have never, other than my own team, wanted to see someone win a Super Bowl more than I want Josh Allen to win a Super Bowl. I mean, his story is amazing. I love Josh Allen. The biggest underdog I think ever. Uh,
Not how
was not
many Wyoming quarterbacks up here in the league?
well. Not only that, coming out of high school, he didn't have any scouts coming watching him. He didn't no scholarships offered. He wrote to I believe like 100 different schools. Emailed wrote I think it was emailed back then because he's not 48 years old. Um, so he emailed a bunch of schools and putting in like, hey, look at me, look this is what I've done, take a chance on me, and Wyoming did. And of course, after he made his waves in Wyoming, other teams wanted him, and he told him no. This team took a chance on me. I'm staying here. And again, not to get too far off track, I love Josh Allen, and I think Juwan Jennings would go great there, as well as with Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. He just needs some more weapons.
For sure, for sure. Now, here's what I like about the two teams that you selected for Joanne Jennings, and that is they both have very strong running back rooms. If you look at the running backs inside of both of those buildings, the benefit of having a Jawan Jennings being the best blocking wide receiver, which I have said in this episode, available on the market today, that makes a world of difference because you have a lot more comfort, especially a guy like James Cook. If you get a guy who has both speed and bruising ability on the outside with a guy like Jawan Jennings who can block, get to the second and third level and block to spring your guy, that changes ball games. I like those fits. As a matter of fact, those are my top two teams for Jawan Jennings. And if I was going to throw a third in there, I would also like to see him in Las Vegas because that is a kind of security blanket that you're going to want for your incumbent number one quarterback. Uh, well, I guess you can't call him incumbent because he wasn't there last season, but your um, all but guaranteed quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. You want a
Right.
guy like that. Now, you made a very good point about really quickly on Fernando Mendoza and having Ashton Genty. Imagine a guy like Jawan Jennings blocking for Ashton Genty to spring him on the outside. And
Right.
I love Ashton. Played out there on the Smurf turf in Boise State. We love dudes who are brave enough to brave the blue. Um, but I think those three teams make the most sense for me for Jawan Jennings. And if I had to pick a preferred landing spot for him, I think the Chargers are the better fit for what he does.
Right.
But the Bills, um, new head coach Joe Brady, those guys will find a way to maximize that the talent that Jawan has. So I very much believe that you will see him probably on one of those three squads around the week before the NFL draft. Because as good as all of the draft prospects are, there is not a true blocking dog of a wide receiver that has that much fight in them and has the veteran knowledge and leadership of a Jawan Jennings. Not to mention he's still under 30 at one of the most valuable positions in the entire NFL.
Absolutely. And actually, I like your third option there because I mean you pair him up with not only him being a good blocker, but also him being able to run a play action and then him be wide open. Look, that I think that goes great.
Some of the soundest hands in the NFL. If
Absolutely.
I'm not mistaken, he has. If I'm not mistaken, he had the second lowest drop rate in the NFL last season. Um, if you can get him on the field, keep him on the field. Let him play his brand of football. He's uh, he's a stud. He's a stud. I like Jawan Jennings. I think that a lot of people are scared of the Kyle Shanahan effect, and that is coming out of that system. There have been more instances than not that guys in Jawan Jennings' shoes not making the most out of their opportunities after leaving a Kyle Shanahan offense. I think that's the only reason that he's still on the board. Also, a renowned um, crapster. He stirs the pot. He's an instigator. He does not mind mixing it up, um, but he will find a home, and he will find a home that suits him well. And I can't wait to see where that is. But I think it's one of the three aforementioned teams.
Absolutely, man. Um, absolutely. And I hope that the Kyle Shanahan effect does not come with Brandon Ayuk because I don't want that because he's coming to Washington
He's
eventually.
he was that talented coming out of college, and I think that's the big. Like I said, there's caveats. There's caveats with every discussion on that, but BA was that talented coming out of college. An absolutely insanely educated feat. Um, the crispiest routes, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL today at getting separation. So I don't think that that will be an issue, especially having a former NFL guy and Ike Hilliard running that wide receiver room in Washington. Actually, I think it's Bobby Ingram now. Don't hold me to that. I will get you guys the facts. Um, but yes, it's Bobby Ingram, a former NFL wide receiver. Also, his personal wide receiver coach being TJ Hushmanzada. Who better than Hoosh? Played alongside the best route runner in the entire NFL history, and Chad Johnson. The stats add up. I I'm not nearly as worried about BA as a lot of people are worried about Jawan Jennings.
Absolutely, man. Well, you guys, I think that's gonna do it for this edition. Scotty, you want to take us out?
Brother, look, as always, it is fantastic talking football with you.
Absolutely.
It is fantastic being able to share our opinions and look forward to your opinions on these matters. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys if you watch on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all of the follows and love on social media. Thank you guys, and thank you to our international listeners. You guys, we have some international listeners. How cool is that? Thank you to all of you guys so very much. As always, that is your lovely host, Corey. I am your not so lovely host, Scotty. And thank you guys once again for another successful episode of Off the Bench. We will see you guys on Tuesday.